Hey there, Python trainer Reuven Learner here, and today I want to talk to you about sorting in pandas. Sorting is really important. You could say it's sort of important, haha, because it allows us to, well, see what are the lowest values, highest values in a variety of different ways. So let's start off with loading things up. Import NumPy as NP, import pandas as PD from pandas import series and data frame. And I'm then going to say NP random seed 0, just so you'll have the same numbers as I do, and my numbers will be consistent. And I'm going to start off with a series. I'm going to say S equals a series of NP random randint, let's just say from 0 to 100, let's get 10 different things. And then I'm going to say the index is going to be, and this is going to be a little funny here, I'm going to say A, B, C, D, E. I'm going to say here F, G, H, I, J. So we do have 10 elements there, and you can see that we have 10 elements in our index, or 10 elements, each one of which has an index and a value. So far, so good. So how can I sort this series? And already this raises a question. How do we want to sort it? Do we want to sort it according to the values? Or do we want to sort it by index? And both are legitimate, especially because the index in a Pandas series, or in a data frame for that matter, but we're going to get to that soon. The index in Pandas can have actual meaning. It can be usernames, it can be dates, it can be all sorts of different things. Well, turns out that Pandas supports both of these. I can say here s.sort index. And what do we get back? We get back a new series. It does not change the original series. We get back a new series containing the same index and values, except that they have been ordered by the index, A through J, exactly as we would hope and expect. Now, what if I want to sort them backwards? Well, then I can say s sort index, and I can say ascending equals false. And then it'll be from J through A. But what if I want to sort by values? Well, I can say s sort values. And then we get the values from lowest to highest, and the index just sort of comes along for the ride. So the index now will almost certainly not be in the right order, right? We're not going to pay attention to that at all. And once again, I can say s sort values ascending equals false, and then it'll be in descending order. Now, in regular old Python, we use the built-in timsort algorithm, and that's what we got. That's basically how we do things. But in NumPy and Pandas, I can actually specify the kind of sort algorithm I want. So if I say help on s sort values, you'll see here that I can choose, right, ascending in place, kind. What kind of sort do I want to use? Now, I'll tell you right off the bat, even though everyone asked me about this, and that's why I'm mentioning it here, everyone asked me how can we use these different algorithms. Most of the time, I think it's probably a good idea, unless you have some like huge data set or unless you're experiencing real problems, stick with the default. And the default here is going to be quick sort. That is, as the name implies, pretty quick. I know, it's just a joke. It's not always going to be the fastest. However, for most people, most of the time, especially with relatively small data sets, it's not worth spending all this time digging into which algorithm you're going to use. All right, so you want to sort things? Great. I should add that as we saw here with the index is made up of strings, whereas the values here are integers, and Pandas is totally fine sorting either of them. It knows how to sort strings, it knows how to sort integers, just as we would sort them, well, normally. But things get sort of more interesting when we have a data frame. So I'm going to say here df equals a data frame. I'm going to say here once again np random seed of 0 to reset it. I'm going to say np random randint 0 to 100. And let's say I want to have here 4 by 3. Then I'm going to say here the index is going to be a list of wxyz, and the columns are going to be a list of abc. Except I'm going to mix these up too. I'm going to say x, w, z, y, and we'll have ABC there. And now we look at our data frame, and we have 4 rows, x, w, z, y. We have 3 columns, A, B, and C. Okay, so far so good. How can I sort these? All right, this data frame. Well, once again, we have 2 options. We can say by the index and by the values. So I can say here df sort index. And look at that. Now the index is indeed ordered, and the rows have come along for the ride. Right? So now it's W, X, Y, Z, exactly as we would hope. Okay, fine. That's like not super surprising. It's just an extension, like an additional dimension here, extending what we saw before with the series. But sorting by values gets more interesting in a data frame, because now I can say df sort, and you no longer have values. Now we say, so we do have to sort values, but we have to say by, and we have to say what we want to sort by. Actually, we might be able to just say by like a or something. Yeah. Although it's kind of traditional to say, by equals a. And now what's this going to do? This sorts the rows according to, in ascending order, according to the values in column A. And so sure enough, now the values in column A are in ascending order, 44, 67, 83, 87. And the rest of the rows have come along for the ride. The index has been rejiggered, and so have the values in B and C. Okay, so this is not unusual, and this is something we really something we often want to do. But what happens if there's, if the same value appears in more than one, in more than one row? How can we sort by more than one column using a second column to break the ties? Well, let's see how we can do this here. I'm going to say here now, df lock of w and a is going to be equal to 44. All right, so now if I look at my df, now x is 44 and y is 44. xa and wa, both of these are 44. So if I now say df sort values by a, it is going to work. It's going to sort them, it's going to sort them in that order. However, what if I want to sort them? I want to sort primarily by column A, but then secondarily by column C. And as we can see, that would actually flip rows W and X. So W would come first. How do I do that? Well, I say just df sort values by, and now, as so often happens in Pandas, I am not going to pass it a string. I'm going to pass it a list of strings by, I'm going to say A, comma C. What does this mean? This means first sort by A, and then if you have a tie, sort by C. And look at that, even though I'm not wearing a tie. Oh, I'm just full of great jokes today. Anyway, we now see that column A is the primary way that it's being sorted. 44 is indeed the lowest number there. But then column C, we see we have 9 and then 64. Pretty snazzy. And you can, of course, sort by however many you want. Okay, so this actually works pretty well. And we can do this in a variety of ways. I can say df sort values, right? I can say sort by C, right? Or I can, mix things up there as well. If I want to, I can say df lock of y and c equals, let's call it 36. And now if I say df sort values according to C, well, now we see that column C has 2 rows with 36. Again, now it's going to be in ascending order. But what if I want something a little different? What if I want to sort by A in ascending order and then B in descending order? Whoa, that's kind of wild, right? Because no longer can I just say, because I could say df sort values, and I can say by equals, and I'll say A and B, and then I'll say here ascending equals true. Okay, so first by A and then by B, ascending equals true. I can also say df sort values by A and then B, and we'll say here ascending equals false, and now it'll be in descending order. But if I want to say A in ascending order and B in descending order, what am I going to do? Well, I can say df sort values by equals A and B. And then I say ascending equals, watch this, true, false. And this means A ascending, B descending. And does this work? Well, A looks like it's in ascending order and B looks like it's in descending order. Amazing. Anyway, I hope that this helps you to understand how to sort in Pandas. This rule of sometimes you can use a string, you can use a string or you can use a list of strings applies in so many places in Pandas. I will be back soon with more videos about Python and Pandas. Don't forget to follow. Don't forget you can also reach out to me on Twitter and, of course, my free weekly Better Developers newsletter. Sign up, and I'd love to see you there as well as here. Leave a comment. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.